I only ask one eensy-beensy little favor.
What's that?
Come on, baby, don't say maybe! Please go out on a date with me and make me a happy Pokemon!
You see,
That Thomas Frank has been sacked.
Oh man, I'm not just. I'll say it just straight away. I'm not even happy.
Why am I still mute?
I'm not even happy. That's the funny thing about.
Oh God. Oh well.
Bro, that's.
I mean, you should be happy he's gone.
I'm happy he's gone because he had to go, but I'm not happy. It doesn't mean I'm now happy about the situation. You know what I mean?
But yeah, welcome to EF the Bird. Obviously, we did a show a couple days ago previewing the game, and now it's time for the review. But there's actually
we had to push this show forward. It was supposed to be tomorrow, but we had to push it forward because
like if basically if he wasn't sacked today, then could just do it tomorrow. But we decided, you know what, because it's a good time, get what do you call it, form all the views, the algorithm, because that's literally. I'm pretty sure what's that channel? We Are Tottenham TV are still going live.
They're still live, yeah. I saw. They've been live for like 5 hours. Yeah. That's mad. That's mad.
My God. But yeah, I'm doing good, obviously, because we won. But Charlie, how was your morning?
Well, obviously, first of all, big up to the chat. I already see a couple of people in there. Big up to you guys. Big up to everyone watching. Please do subscribe to both channels. Of course, 10 and my channel here. This Year of the Bird, of course, the Spurs Newcastle show is being streamed on both channels. And yeah, there'll be a lot to talk about. Obviously, both clubs have played each other. Newcastle have been the reason why Frank has finally got the sack, as you can see from the title of the stream and the thumbnail on both channels. So yeah, should be probably, I would argue, maybe the most interesting show we've done so far, because this is probably the biggest news. Frank obviously is gone. He is no longer the manager of Tottenham. Before we get into it, I'll just say this quickly. Obviously, the intro that 10 showed kind of suggests I'm like buzzing, I'm jumping for joy. I'm not. I'll tell you that, and I'll explain why. I'm not jumping for joy. I am glad he's gone because, you had to cut the cord, and they finally did it, albeit for me, they should have done it before. But ultimately, Thomas Frank, like I said, is not the biggest problem at the club, which I'm sure I will get into. But yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. Should be a good show. AJ, we're not free, man. I wish we were. But we're not free, but I'll explain why. But yeah, big up to AJ every single time.
Yeah, and yeah, obviously doing well myself. Obviously because we won. But yeah, obviously a big news, probably the biggest since, I don't know, probably when Daniel Levy got or left that one time.
Yes,
we'll find out. We'll find out.
I am worried. Yes,
I guess before we talk about Thomas Frank being sacked, there was obviously a game that got him the sack
between both our clubs. Funnily enough, for this show.
So what coincidence! It's happened again, just like Stellini 3 years ago. We have now sacked technically another Spurs coach. You could say.
Although you said off stream, you said technically we did get Steve Bruce sacked. Technically,
oh, yeah.
But he was going to go anyway. I think.
Let me. But yeah, I guess I don't know. Do you want to start with the winners or the losers perspective?
I don't mind. I mean, I guess I'll say it in terms of Spurs, because I'll be honest, like the way I saw this game, I knew we'd lose. I predicted a 1-0 loss. It ended up being 2-1. That is the reality of the way we've been playing. With the injuries we have, of course, we picked up yet another injury in this game with Odegaard, which is now, it turns out today, news has come out that he picked up an ACL injury. So obviously horrific for him. Feel bad for him. I hope he kind of recovers, because yeah, as a young player, that's a horrific injury. So feel bad for him. Obviously wishing him a speedy recovery. But it's another injury to add to the list. And now we're going to be, whoever the new manager that comes in, they're still going to have about 12 fit players to call upon. And that is an unthinkable situation, and a situation that is disgusting, quite frankly, that any club can be, a Premier League club can be in this situation with the injuries. But regardless, the game went exactly as I knew it would go. Newcastle, who obviously have had their own problems, as we've discussed on this show, and Ten has made very clear about how he feels about Eddie Howe and Newcastle this season. I knew that Newcastle was still coming into this game in better shape than we were. And I knew that despite Newcastle haven't been great this season in a lot of ways, at least you guys can put out a team. You can put out a team. You don't have all these injury issues. You had players to come off the bench like Voltemada, Tonali, even Murphy to an extent. Visser, who wasn't even used. You had guys to come off the bench. It's a very different situation to what we're in. And I knew that would probably be the difference in this game. And just simply because we can't win a game. I mean, Newcastle have been more inconsistent than consistently bad this season, in the sense that Newcastle, at least won a couple of games recently, winning Leeds and who's the other one? Palace. So, yeah, the difference is Newcastle might not be great, but we cannot win a game. We cannot buy a win, no matter who it's against. And I knew that we would lose. Obviously, these are the two lineups. Why he didn't start, and look, I know Frank's gone now, but we are talking about the game. Why he didn't start Palhinha, I will never know. Because Palhinha is one of the only players, especially in recent weeks, that actually has a bit of fight about him, that will go in for those tackles, that will actually keep running. He's one of the only players, along with, I would say, him and probably maybe Van der Ven, others, maybe a couple others that I can't think of at the top of my head, but he's basically one of the only few players left that had any fight whatsoever in the season under Frank, and he was on the bench, and it was crazy to me to start him on the, especially when you're up against the likes of Bruno Guimaraes, that sort of midfield. You need a Palhinha in there, so not starting him was weird to me. Obviously, with the rest of the team, there's only so much he could have done in terms of the selection, just simply because of the amount of injuries we had. But even with these injuries, right, it is no excuse to play like we did in the first half. Because in the first half, let's be real, we should have been 5-0 down. From minute one, Newcastle were on top of us. I don't know how they didn't score. Obviously, Willock had a goal disallowed where his forehead was offside, something crazy like that. I don't know how. I was thinking, if you guys don't score before half time, that is crazy to me. I don't think I would have ever seen a team dominate a game as much as that without actually scoring a goal. And you should have scored. You had that chance from the corner. You had a couple of other moments.
There were 10 corners for us that whole first half.
Exactly. You had literally Elanga, who, as you've been talking about, has not been good. He was absolutely ripping us to shreds.
Oh, yeah.
And it is crazy to think, considering, as you've been saying, Elanga has not been good this season. And we barely had a shot. I mean, there was a penalty shout on Solanke, but I don't think there was anything in it. Yeah, I mean, when you did take the lead, it wasn't a surprise. It had been coming the whole half. I don't know how you hadn't got 2 or 3 goals already before that. Obviously very poor finishing from Newcastle. And then obviously Malik Chow. But what's really bad about this goal, that is some of the most pathetic defending, the most half-hearted shit I've seen in my life. Obviously Vicario just makes a mess of it as well. But the defending, man, I mean, it's such a weak shot as well. It's obviously parried straight into Chow. And you guys have the lead, but it was deserved. I mean, I guess before we get into the second half, I mean, what from a Newcastle perspective, what was your thoughts on the first half? Because surely I know you did score at the end, but surely you're thinking, how are you not 5-0 up at half time? That's all I can say.
I mean, I do have that. We both have that experience. Well, for me, obviously, being 5-0 up against Spurs a lot sooner than 45 minutes, I would say, or 50 minutes technically, because we do have that experience of being 5-0 up against Spurs. But yeah, this game at the start, in terms of the lineup, I was a bit concerned, we're doing the 3 wingers up front instead of either Voltemada or Visser, but I guess ultimately it actually worked in this particular game. I think that sort of wingers, Gordon as the false 9 and Bonds and Elanga, I think it works in away games against
Yeah.
To make Spurs not sound like shit, but against shit teams, I think it can work.
Yeah, we are. No, don't worry. We are shit. You can't. There's nothing else to say. We are shit. We're terrible.
Yeah.
Like, we're utterly terrible. It's not just. It's not even necessarily to do with the players. It's just we're terrible in the lack of fight. I know you haven't like watched Spurs as much as I have, obviously, but you're watching that game. You see what I've been talking about. The lack of heart, just the lack of everything. Basics. Yeah. And it was easy. Yeah. It was easy for Newcastle.
Yeah, and obviously, I think. Obviously, you could say maybe a concern for us would have been Trippier and Burn at fullback. Obviously, there's no one that can really play right back, as in like Miley or Livramento or even like anyone else. So it had to be Trippier, former Spurs man, and then Dan Burn at left back. That one I think was definitely sort of player management and all that, because obviously Lewis Hall's been playing so many games. I think if there was a time to rest him, it'll probably be against the weakest team that we have this month in terms of opponents. So, and to be honest, Dan Burn did all right majority of the game. The one thing I was a bit sort of, I wouldn't say surprised, was you saw how much joy Elanga and Trippier had. Oh. So much joy. It was like Xavi Simons was like Simons, basically.
I think with Spence, he wasn't fit. They rushed because we have barely anyone available. They rushed him back, I think.
That's probably. And it kind of showed whereby, Xavi Simons or Simmons, not really helping out. We call this, what's the player? Spence. Because, Elanga and Trippier up against a sort of unfit-ish Jed.
Like I keep saying in general, up against, I'm not looking at any individual here really, but like up against a collective team that aren't fighting, that don't have any desire whatsoever.
Yeah, and then obviously we had like 10 corners that first half. I mean, maybe we should have scored at least from one of them. I don't know how. I think there were like one or two times that we should have taken the lead from a corner. I think there was one that was like scrambled in the box or something, and it was eventually cleared. There was another one I remember, Solanke. I don't know if it was from a corner, but Solanke kicked it away, because if he hadn't gotten a touch, maybe Chow or whoever it was for us that was behind Chow on the far left of him, we would have made it 1-0 earlier, but we kept on going. And then obviously, I thought we actually scored from, as you said, I think you actually said in the last show, Willock.
Didn't count though. Didn't count.
I mean,
but that should have been the warning. That should have been the warning, but it wasn't the warning.
Yeah, because it was only like 5 minutes before we actually
5 minutes
scored.
Exactly.
So, I was like, is it going to be one of those sort of games whereby we do well, we are playing well more or less, but not get the goal? Because I mean, obviously I said in the last show, for this game, I was like, if we don't win, fair enough, but at least show some fight and desire, performance, whatever. At least turn up for once. And to be honest, we did the entire game, or when we needed to. And obviously, when we got the goal, Malik Chow.
It had been coming, and it should, like I said, it should have been 4-5-0. With the pressure that you had us like pinned. You had Tottenham just pinned back. Every time we got the ball, we just give it back to you.
I think the XG of Spurs in that first half was 0.3, I believe. 0.3.
Yeah, first. Yeah, 0.3. Yeah. 0.3.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't even remember Nick Pope touching the ball. That's how bad Spurs were in that first half. I
mean, there's only one shot I remember. I mean, there probably was maybe another one, but it was like Simmons just hit the side netting. That's literally it. It's literally it.
That was also not really eventually going to trouble Nick Pope because it was off target. So, yeah, that first half barely did anything, Spurs, I mean. And then we kept on going. Obviously, got the goal from Chow, even after the Willock offside goal, which, okay, if it's a semi-automated, okay, fair enough. But if it's like because they drew lines on the sand or whatever on a monitor, then I'm like,
It was his forehead. Like, that's nuts. That is like as tight as it gets. But in terms of the second half, obviously, look, I was fearing the worst. Obviously, see, this is what annoys me about Frank and Spurs this season is when there's nothing to lose, when we're losing 1 or 2-0, whatever it is. In this case, it was 1-0. We start to finally go forward. The shackles kind of come off, and you saw gradually start of the second half. We were starting to attack a little bit more. We win our first corner and we score. I mean, Gray, fair play to Gray for getting the goal. Probably one of our better players on the day as well. Albeit it was obviously a very low bar, but still probably one of our better players. Grabs the goal from the corner. Obviously, wasn't great defending from you guys or anything. But here's my problem, right? Obviously, we see this is how you know Spurs are in trouble. Because when a team equalizes, usually you're thinking they're going to be the ones in the ascendancy. They're going to be the ones that, you know, take the momentum and go and win the game, that sort of thing. Instead, what do? We get not as soon as we score, we sit back, we retreat. You had literally, obviously, we know you guys scored like 4 minutes later. But in those 4 minutes, you could have scored at least 3 goals. You had Van de Ven make that block. You had, I think, another block that happened as well. And then, worst of all, and this is how you know football's fine margins. We won the ball back, and we had that counter 5 against 3, that counter attack, and Gallagher completely screws up the pass. I mean, it's a simple pass. He completely screws it up. And this is where football punishes you. This is where you get punished. He completely screws up the pass. And then within minutes, Ramsey goes and scores. And I'll be honest. I know obviously we might have, you know, gone and grabbed the second goal with that counter-attack and everything. But like I said, before we had that moment, that 5-on-3, we literally we equalize, and then we're like, and this is, again, I blame the manager and I blame the players, I blame just everyone for this. As soon as we equalize, sit back, scared, pussies, all of this sort of stuff. You know what I mean? Just imagine that you equalize, and then the first thing you do is just sit back and just wait to be beaten, basically. When normally what's supposed to happen in football is when you get the equalizer, you're supposed to have momentum on your side. But that didn't happen. And then I think as soon as you scored, it was game over. I mean, apart from that one chance that Tell had, I didn't think you guys had to do a lot to hold on. I really don't. And we really did nothing. I mean, we gave up. These players, the heads dropped. And this is what I've been saying. Frank, obviously, we'll talk about Frank in a bit. But, like, I've been saying since October that they're not playing for him. I've been saying it since October that he has no respect or authority whatsoever. Like, the players don't respect him. He doesn't have any authority over them. I've been saying this for ages. Look, do I think he's the biggest problem? No, at the club. But at the same time, you know, if he did have authority over the players, I think we'd be getting more results. And I think he would be obviously still in the job right now. But like I said, that period pissed me off so much. Like I said, a lot of Spurs fans are talking about that Gallagher pass. But for me, what pissed me off was everything else that happened in that 4 minutes. Where as soon as we equalize, it's just sit back, not actually use the momentum that was on our side, and then concede, and then that's it, game over. So, obviously for you, it was good because Newcastle pretty much responded straight away. And that obviously won the game for you guys.
Yeah, obviously, you know, among the Spurs players that I literally did not even notice play, I literally didn't even notice Basuma was playing.
No, came off at half time.
I know he got booked, but I literally did not see anything from him. I was like, Spurs playing with 10 men, like that first half. I was like, Basuma's doing nothing. I was like, oh, this is kind of easy for us.
I mean, here's the thing, right? For that kind of game yesterday, it's not so much about individuals. It's just the whole team as a collective had no belief. Zero belief. Zero.
Yeah, and then obviously second half, we were good for the first 5-10 minutes. And then around the 55th until you scored, Spurs finally got some momentum. Obviously scored from literally their first corner. And we had 10 corners.
Yeah, it's nuts.
I was like... Oh,
but here's the thing. That's our only way of scoring. That is literally our only way of scoring.
And technically, our defenders scored as well. Yeah. And maybe same thing on Saturday, right?
Well, we'll see.
Obviously, we'll preview the FA Cup game, which we're participating in. Yeah. But I think overall, the performance after we got behind, or not behind, I mean, when you equalize, was pretty good. I mean, obviously, bad pass by Gallagher in that 5v3 sort of situation. We got the ball, and then eventually Gordon did score. We'll find out. To be honest, I don't really mind if you knock us out. But I would say that. Oh yeah, I was.
Yeah, he has.
I gave him the grace of, what do you call this? Between the Qarabağ Cup win and the Sunderland game, so like a 7-8 month period. But anyways, we did score. Ramsey first goal. So Ramsey's first goal for us, for Newcastle,
Oh my God.
meant that obviously it was the dagger in the hearts of Spurs in that game. So I think overall, I do think that we did deserve the win overall. I mean, the rest of the game after we made
The game was done. That was, you didn't have to, like I said with Newcastle. Obviously, you guys were like good in you were by far the better team. But if I'm honest, if I was you, I wouldn't be. I mean, I know you're not, but I don't know if any Newcastle fans are. Like, if I'm a Newcastle fan, I'm not getting carried away by that because you didn't have to do a lot. You didn't have to do much. And the reality is, teams don't have to do a lot to win against us right now.
Yeah, and I think, for me, it was more about obviously result, but like performance and all, pretty good. Let's see if that continues in the games that we'll preview in a bit, obviously. But yeah, 3 points. It actually means that we are in the top 10
Yes.
with the table there. Obviously, there are games that will happen tonight, including Aston Villa, who will play in the FA Cup and all that. But for us, before we talk about Spurs and all, I think for us, we are currently 10th, but how many points from like...
Yeah, look, it's in this part of the table, it's very congested. Like, you're 36 points. Oh, it's not letting me zoom in. Yeah, it keeps like, yeah, here we go.
Right.
Yeah, 36 points. I mean, it's weird because you're like 4 points from 13th, but then you're like, you're 3 points from 6th, even though Liverpool have to play.
Yeah, had we beaten Brentford instead of losing, we would have been 7th. So it kind of shows just how much things have changed throughout the season. We had the same amount of points as we have now, and we finished 7th. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's when you got robbed. That's when you got robbed of Europe.
Oh yeah. So this is what I say about us. I do think, hopefully, especially with English clubs, like obviously, it's practically 100%, 99.99% that the Champions League next season will have 5 English clubs, only on the basis of
so that means top 8. Top 8 will be Europe.
So top 8, because obviously Qarabağ Cup, it's already a top 4 team that's going to win it, and then FA Cup. I'll be honest, I do think
unless it's like an outsider.
Yeah, like well, it can't be Palace. It will definitely not be the team in 11th. It can't be the team in 9th. Everton cannot win it. Brentford, I know, play the team that knocked out Palace, Macclesfield. So I'll be honest, I would be surprised if the FA Cup is won by a team that doesn't finish in the European places. So I do think we'll get Europe by the end of this season. Obviously, I would prefer Champions League just because of money as well.
But it's very close. Like I said, that part of the table is very tight. Like,
but
it's
for me,
you're close to like 6th, but you're also close to like the bottom half as well.
Yeah, yeah, and I think for me, I said 7th at the start of the season. So at the moment, it seems like we're on course for it. I do think that we will get Europa or Conference League. Obviously, I would prefer Europa League because, if we do bad again, we can at least try to win the Europa League. But right now, it's just about being consistent with getting results now, even with performances for us.
And obviously, yeah, like you've that's been obviously the story of Newcastle this season. You've lacked that consistency. You've been very like up and down sort of. Obviously, we discussed a lot about Eddie Howe in the last show about whether it's kind of coming to an end for him, which I still think is the case. And I think this season has kind of shown that his time is coming to an end, and I think there is a decent chance he will leave in the summer. As I just think with Newcastle, the chapter's naturally closing with Eddie Howe, but hopefully for you guys, you can get into Europe, because I think Newcastle with the PSR stuff, you're definitely going to need Europe. That's for sure.
And we haven't been back-to-back Europe seasons, since the 2000s. So,
you're definitely in that race. Like, you're definitely, like, it's very, I think everyone, in terms of the race for Europe, it's everyone, I think from Fulham above is technically still in it, I reckon.
Except 11th, yeah.
Except, yeah, if you want to say that. But it's very tight.
Liverpool. I love Liverpool.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll see what happens today.
Yeah, but speaking of Liverpool or Everton or any club, how about the team in 16th?
Oh, God. You want to go there, do you?
Well, you have to actually scroll down. Oh, there.
This is unthinkable. Not only is this unthinkable, but do you know what was really, really, really unthinkable was at one point last night, because West Ham kicked off later, they were within 3 points, and United Strand did not get his haircut. Now it all resets.
What's the funny thing? I said West Ham to score a last-minute equalizer. It was actually Man United that scored a last-minute.
It was the other way around. Yeah.
So I think he was celebrating Man United.
But it's kind of like when. Oh God. Jesus. Oh my God. Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
Anyway, he might not be Frank Ribery, but I saw Newcastle United were actually mentioned in the files. I think.
No, we're not. We can't.
I think there were like 18 of the 20 Premier League clubs that were mentioned in it.
Oh my God! Bro, I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know. But anyway, yeah, like I was saying, and until Sesko equalised in the last kick of the game, Spurs were free. Yes, you heard that right. 3 points. 3 points above the relegation zone. This is a simply unthinkable situation. Obviously, 5 points is still horrendous, especially considering we got Arsenal next. How is it? West Ham play Bournemouth, which, West Ham, look, here's my thing with Spurs, and I spoke about relegation. We are in serious danger. And the reason we're in serious danger is because I think out of the teams, out of West Ham, Forest, Leeds, and us, we are currently the worst team. On form, we are the worst team. We have not only do we have the least results at the moment in terms of, especially like the last 5 games, as you can see, but also we have the least fight. And that's the problem. We in a relegation battle, because let's just be fucking honest. We're in a relegation battle. Yes, it's unthinkable. I never thought I'd be sitting here, but this is where we are. And it's a consequence of years of mismanagement, terrible decisions, the ownership running the club dry. It's years of consequence. And if the unthinkable happens and we get relegated, if the unthinkable happens, then that's what they deserve. The ownership deserve relegation with the way they've ran this club, with the decisions that have been made, with the transfer policy, all of these things. If we get relegated by anyhow, that is what is entirely deserved. And I'm going to be really honest, and people might call me harsh. If we get relegated, the fans deserve it as well. Not every fan, but a lot of fans deserve it. Because I'm seeing fans now that want Poch back, thinking that that's going to, be, the solution to all of this. You got fans that didn't want to protest, that kept trying to tell the world, oh, but they're not going anywhere. So why should we protest? They're not going anywhere. Those fans that said that, they deserve everything they're getting right now. Because this you didn't want it enough. You clearly didn't see what was happening enough. And you clearly didn't want to do anything about it. And this is why we are where we are. I went off about the relegation, but it's fucking real. It is 100% real, this. And like I said, it is going to get worse. And right now, look, I'll be honest. If Frank was in charge still, I knew where this was going. Obviously now we could be saved potentially. And even then it's far from guaranteed. But like I said, relegation is serious problem. And it is an absolute disgrace that I'm even saying this. That if this is even crossing my mind as a Spurs fan, that we could even be in this situation. You know? This is horrendous. And like I said, when West Ham went 1-0 up yesterday, from what I saw, there was a big, obviously there was the reaction in the stadium to Frank, the boos and like the sacked in the morning, all of this sort of stuff.
Came true.
Listen, if Man United didn't score, we'd be 3 points above the relegation zone. And I think there is a very good chance that in the next couple of weeks, we could be sitting in that relegation zone. We are truly screwed. We have all these injuries. We don't know who the manager's going to be. I don't know what to say anymore. Like I went into it a lot last show about relegation, but my point is this: we are in serious trouble, and we are the worst team out of the candidates, the contenders. We are the worst team currently. As I speak right now, on the 11th of February, we are out of these 4 teams: West Ham, Nottingham Forest, and Leeds, and Spurs. We are the worst. We are the worst, and we have the least fight. So this is a serious danger. Yeah. And yesterday was another, game, we had to win. So obviously get ourselves out of this situation. But what we're seeing right now is, this is look, whether we get relegated or not, it doesn't change the situation. The fact that we're in this position that we are right now is a consequence of the way this club has been run for years of mismanagement, years of complacency, running the club into the ground. This is it, and they're paying the price. And if we do get relegated, this will be catastrophic. They will lose a whole load of money. Their business will collapse. If we get relegated, their business will completely collapse. And it will, and I don't care what anyone says, it is 100% deserved and justified if that happens for this ownership and a lot of these fans that didn't want to do anything about this for all of this time by just sitting there on Twitter and being like, oh, they're not going anywhere. What can we do? There's nothing we can do. They're not going anywhere. We're stuck. It's never going to change. Cry. This is what annoys me so much, that like, you see it right in Italy. When this shit happens, the fans don't tolerate it. The Lazio, I don't know if anyone knows, but Lazio, last week, their fans boycotted the game and the stadium was empty. I don't know if you saw it, 10. The stadium was empty. The fans boycotted because they're not happy with the president. Lazio aren't exactly doing great, but they're not going to get relegated or anything. But the fans boycotted the stadium. This is what I'm saying. The fans are weak. They are weak, and we need more backbone in the fan base. Because I'm sorry, and every fan sitting there saying they want Poch back, they deserve everything that's coming. I'm sorry, if they want Poch back, but I will get into, but just as a quick thing, I do think that is probably what's going to happen, by the way. They will have to learn the hard way. And the hard way is more suffering, basically. More suffering and, more disgraceful, embarrassing results, which could easily, for all we know, could potentially see us in the championship next season. So that's what I'm going to say. That's what I'm going to say about that. It's unthinkable that we're in this situation, but we're here and we need to be saved. We need to be saved. So, 16th, unthinkable. Could, by the end of the day, could be level on points with Forest to a 17th. 5 points above the relegation zone. Would have been 3 unless if Sesko didn't score. What more is there to say? What's your thoughts on it, 10? Like how much trouble are we actually in?
I think, considering this season, the relegation battle, the fact that I have to include Spurs in it,
we are.
Well, and the only saving grace you have is that 2 of the spots are practically confirmed. Like you just have to be better than one more team, just one more team.
Well, we need to win 3 or 4 games.
To
and
be
that
honest,
obviously hasn't been happening. 2 wins in 17. Like,
to be honest, considering how the teams, like, it seems like 18th place might get relegated on like 36, 37, 38 points.
Yeah.
And
it will go down to the wire. It will go down to the wire.
And if Spurs on the final day. I don't even know. The fact that I have to think, who did you have in the final day?
Everton at home, final day.
Imagine like, I don't know, you have to win that game to stay in the division. And then I'm not sure if you have so that means Arsenal are away. So, and then Arsenal has to lift up the Premier League title the weekend before. That would be crazy. Oh yeah, I would guess Xabi Alonso. But
listen, if I was Spurs right now, I'll be throwing every bit of money they have at Xabi Alonso right now.
I would actually say Xabi Alonso is mine.
I would be. I'm not saying he would join us, but I would be at least trying. Just try and do something. Because at least Xabi Alonso, at least if he came in, you know, everyone would. At least that would unite the fan base. Every fan would be on board with Xabi Alonso. Yeah, but he's not going to join us because I think he'll have much better options come the summer. So
yeah, hopefully us. And yeah, he is my first choice. The fact, very, very sidetrack, even though it might maybe happen with Spurs. Strasbourg Steve says he would have De Zerbi over Eddie Howe. I'm like, wait, okay. Eddie Howe's not done well, but I would not.
De Zerbi's been linked with Spurs. I'll tell you, I would not have De Zerbi at Spurs. I can tell you that.
I will not. I'm like, I keep on telling Strasbourg Steve, look, De Zerbi, you know, the football can be nice and exciting, but like, come on. The guy, we finished above Brighton every single season. He was the manager. Obviously, yeah, he beat us in the Champions League, but who's in?
You know what's funny about De Zerbi is I remember when he was Palermo manager, but he only lasted about 5 games. But that was in the Zamparini era where we go through about 10 managers a season. So and we actually did get relegated that season.
Yeah, I would say he is one of those.
I don't want. I can tell you. Obviously, we'll talk about Frank and who could replace him, but I can tell you that I do not want De Zerbi. I do not want De Zerbi.
Even I would keep Eddie Howe if De Zerbi is the actual person coming in. I would just keep Howe. But while Howe is still in charge of a football club, because there was literally a press conference after the game last night. Eddie Howe says that Thomas Frank. Something about given time and all that sort of thing, managed at the top club like Spurs. Well, a few hours later, obviously, I don't know if anyone was around in the intro, but if you don't mind, I will show the clip again.
Oh, yeah.
30 seconds.
I only ask one eensy-beensy little favor.
What's that?
Come on, baby, don't say maybe! Please go out on a date with me and make me a happy Pokemon!
You see...
that Thomas Frank has been sacked.
Like I said, the funny thing is that I'm not even like jumping for joy or happy. You know what I mean? It's more of it's more of like in terms of Frank, it's a relief. But yeah, I guess we'll get into it.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you go first because obviously you've been him out for at least a century now. It feels like.
Well, the day finally arrived. If I'm honest, I didn't think it would happen. I thought they were going to still keep him. I
thought until you get knocked out in the Champions League.
I thought that because they kept him after that West Ham game, I thought they were just going to keep him. I thought they were just going to keep him no matter what, and then they would pay the price if we got relegated.
Was West Ham before Dortmund?
Yeah, that was a few days before Dortmund.
That probably meant that.
And that was the game to sack him. And I still maintain it. They should have done it then. And they have waited a lot longer than they should have to sack him. But anyway, they have sacked him. The day has come. I didn't think it would, if I'm honest. I didn't think I'd be waking up today and hearing that he has been sacked. But he's gone. Thomas Frank, this failed project created by the owners, Vinay and Lange, created, which is why, listen, Frank didn't hire himself. I'll get into more about that in a minute. But the Thomas Frank failed project has ended at last. Club statement here. As you can see, a very short statement. The club has taken the decision to change the men's head coach position, and Thomas Frank will leave today. Thomas was appointed in June 2025. We have been determined to give him the time and support needed to build the future together. Well, if that was the case, you wouldn't have pissed about in January and actually got some players that we needed. You know what I mean? Here's the thing with Frank. If they wanted to back him, they would have given him actual players in January that can help. But anyway, another lie coming out. Because they didn't give him support in January, regardless of what we think of Frank as a manager. However, results and performances have led the board to conclude that a change at this point in the season is necessary. Throughout his time at the club, Thomas has conducted himself with unwavering commitment, giving everything in his efforts to move the club forward. We would like to thank him for his contribution and wish him every success in the future. So that is the club statement. Released by Spurs in regarding the news. Obviously, there was news coming out before the official statement. The likes of David Ornstein was basically reporting that he'd been sacked and everything. So Thomas Frank is gone. First and foremost, this needed to happen. Like, obviously, we have 12 days until the next game against Arsenal. It's a longer than usual before the next game. So, this was their sort of last opportunity to sack him with that amount of time before the end of the season. And they did it. They did get rid of him. I actually didn't think they would, like I mentioned, but they have got rid of him. But here's my big issue with this. This board, this ownership are a fucking disgrace. Because first of all, they have only sacked Frank because I'm telling you, they absolutely shit themselves yesterday. They saw Vinay, whoever it is, the reports are coming out that Vinay was the one driving it, that he was the one that basically told the owners to go through with the sacking and everything. They have only sacked him when they realized, shit, we might actually get relegated. Shit, we are 3 points above the relegation zone at 1 point last night. Shit, West Ham are actually picking up results. Shit, we've moved down to 16th. That is what, think about it like this. Us being in a fucking relegation battle, which not one of them thought, not one of them was taking seriously. Not a single fan thought, including me, at the start of the season that would happen, because it shouldn't happen. Tottenham Hotspur, whether you think we're a big club or not, I know there's this whole thing that people want to say. Whether you think we're a big club or not, right? We should not be in a relegation battle, and it is not normal for us to be in a relegation battle. We have never been relegated in the Premier League era. Never. It is not a normal thing. It's not. This is the first time, I think, since one season during the 90s when we actually were in, I think 98, I think. I think 98 or 94, one of those.
Yeah, and that was when Newcastle were very good.
Yeah, but that was that's the thing, right? So it is not normal for Tottenham to be down there. I know we finished 17th last season, but we were by this point in February, mid-February, we were safe. We had won 3 games in a row in February, and we were safe. We knew we weren't getting relegated by this point last season. So for them to wait until we're literally just above the drop zone, for them to then step in, there's everything about them. It shows that they were okay with mid-table mediocrity. They were okay with, where we were before. They were okay with shit performances and shit results at the start of the season. They were okay with that. And it took them until it got really bad, until their Premier League status was in question, for them to actually sack him. That's what it took. That's what it took. And they, in terms of, go back a couple of weeks, we were closer still at that point. We were closer to the European spots than the relegation zone. If they had sacked him then, who knows? With a new manager bounce, we could have maybe made a late run for Europe. We could have maybe got back into Europe for next season. Who knows? But that is now out of the question. It is now the only question is survival. And they have waited until that to sack him. They have waited until that point. Obviously, Frank, I've said this already, should never have been hired in the first place. He was the wrong appointment. Look, let's be honest, the fans weren't on his side from day one. Obviously, a lot of fans loved Ange because of the trophy and everything. I still maintain it. I'm not going to change my mind. I still maintain that getting rid of Ange was the right decision. Doesn't mean that hiring Frank was also the right decision. If you're going to get rid of, for as bad as Ange was in the league and everything, he did win us a trophy. And if you're going to sack a manager that just won us a trophy, you have to go and get somebody in, as a big name, that's done it, that will get fans excited, that will get the players excited, all of this sort of stuff. What they went and did was they apparently went through this stupid 30-point plan, this all bollocks that you hear in the media, how they went through 30 candidates and thought Frank was the number one guy and all of this bollocks that we hear in the media. They went and hired Frank, who has won nothing. His best achievement was finishing 9th with Brentford. And if we're honest, that is his level. Look, I have no problem with Thomas Frank. I wanted to give him a chance. I was not one of these fans that sat there and said, yeah, he's shit, get him out from the first day. No, I was like, do you know what? Frank is, he probably has earned the chance to kind of make a step up. He is massively overachieved with probably the smallest budget in the league and everything. He's massively overachieved, keeping Brentford in the league and everything. I was like, do you know what? He probably deserves a chance. Whether it works out or not, he probably does deserve a chance at a sort of bigger club. Unfortunately for him, it's proven that he is not at that level. And yes, I think a lot of it is to do with the culture and the environment at Tottenham. I think that, like I said, the ownership, the way the club's run, the culture that has built up for years, I don't think it's helped him. And I think if that wasn't there, I think he probably would do a better job. I'm not saying he would have us, where we want to be or anything, but I'm very confident that I don't think he would be at the relegation zone. I think he would be, not in a good position. I still think he'd be maybe bottom half or whatever it is. But I think there's things going on at the club that haven't helped, like the culture, the way the club's run, that January transfer window, the injuries. All of these things I don't really blame him for. But at the same time, he didn't help himself because he literally came out first press conference and said, one thing I will guarantee is we will lose games. And that's not, I'll be honest, right? Look, I'm not saying he's wrong because he was right. But if you want to galvanize players, it's not something you can be saying. Like I said with Ange, I don't want to keep going on about Ange, but the one thing I will give him credit for, but obviously besides the trophy, is that he was actually able to galvanize a team. And that's why we won the Europa League last season. Look, Ange, his tactics are terrible. Ange isn't good enough as a manager. Let's just have it right. But what he is good at is galvanizing a team, getting players on board. Frank clearly hasn't done that. And this is what I mean, right? These players, rightly or wrongly, don't respect him. And they've thrown him under the bus. And I would say from very early on, they weren't on his side. I mean, look at the Super Cup. The Super Cup, I thought we were going to get smashed. Obviously, we didn't get smashed, but we should have won that game because we were 2-0 up. But Frank, his substitutions cost us. His substitutions cost us that game. So from game one, there were cracks, if we're being honest. The simple fact is that he wasn't good enough. He didn't have the charisma. He didn't have the character. He didn't have the sort of passion to galvanize our players. Our players didn't respect him. They were having this guy, direct them after obviously winning a trophy last season. That doesn't mean I excuse the players. I think the players have been an absolute disgrace, barring a couple. I think that they've been absolutely terrible this season. Even our good players, for example, like Porro, who I rate really highly, I think he's been terrible this season. I think that's one example of even our good players that we're supposed to trust haven't been doing well. They've been dragged down with the rest of the problems. Somebody like Vicario, who I rate highly, he's been terrible this season. He has had a massive drop-off. Players like, even like Romero, you could say. I think it's a myth that he's like this super rash player, but I think even he has dropped off this season. So I think Frank, the style, look, everyone goes on about the style of play. Listen, I'll be honest, I'm not one of these fans that thinks we have to play a certain way, but I just want to see a style of play that gets results. And his style of play was not getting results. His style of play was literally just sit back and just wait to be beaten. That's all his style of play was at Tottenham. And there was no identity. And obviously, he has the worst win percentage out of any manager in so-called Big Six club history in Premier League. He's one of the worst he's probably the worst manager in Tottenham's Premier League history, in the Premier League era. He is probably the worst manager because this is probably the closest we've been to relegation. So, listen, is it all his fault? No. But was he a symptom of what's going on? Yes. Was he the right manager? No. And listen, his mentality was appalling. I've said this many times. He's an absolute coward in the way he sets up. I feel like he's not When we get bad results, he's not as dissatisfied as he should be. He has this sort of mid-table mediocrity mindset where anything above relegation is okay, and that it's good enough. Listen, he's a Brentford level. Look, I have nothing against Brentford. With all due respect to them, Frank is that level, and he came to a bigger club, and it went as bad as it could have gone. He is not at that level. It has now been proven he's a coward in the way he sets us up sometimes. And listen, it was right to get rid of him. But this board, the people that hired him, have to go with him. It's as simple as that. Yes, we can sit there and say, look, well done, they sacked Frank. A lot of fans saying that's what needed to happen, all of this. But I've said this consistently. Yes, Frank does need to go. We have to get rid of him. But the people that hired him have to go with him. And I'm talking about Lange, and I'm talking about Vinay. They have to go with him. They cannot be in charge of picking the next manager. They cannot have any more say on recruitment at this club. Lange is a failed sporting director. Vinay is an Arsenal CEO that all their fans wanted out at the end. These guys are not fit to run this club. They hired Frank. They decided to hire him. So they should pay the price. Frank has paid the price for doing a bad job. But the people that put him in that position should also pay the price. It's as simple as that. And that's not even mentioning the ownership that have to sell the club now. They must go. It's as simple as that. Big up to Eugene in the chat as well. Big up to big up to you every single time. 100%. Yeah, long time no see. Make sure you subscribe to his channel, guys, as well. But Frank has gone, but the people that hired him have to go with him, and the ownership, which I've gone on about for years now, must go, and the fan base have a choice. Will you take action, or will you still sit there and just say they're not going anywhere and that there's no hope? Because that's just giving up. That's just accepting it. That's just accepting that we're always going to be in this shit situation. Because they have failed yet again with another managerial appointment. And this is the part that scares me the most. Apart from relegation, of course. This is the part that scares me the most. This is what I think will happen from now on. There's obviously been all this since the announcement, there's been all this speculation about who will come in as interim now, or if we hire a permanent manager now, or we hire a permanent manager in the summer. Who will come in now / the summer, whatever this is. There's been names, De Zerbi has been linked. There's been interims such as our assistant manager, which I think, by the way, I can tell you this for a fact. I can never remember his name, our assistant manager. Johnny Heitinger or something. I think that's it. He was actually Liverpool's assistant last season, but we recently hired him. He was at Ajax, and he did a terrible job at Ajax. But he's been our assistant manager pretty much since January. I can tell you this for a fact. If we go, and this is what I think will happen as well, if we put the assistant manager in charge, this will be exactly the same. There will be, if we need a new manager bounce to get us out of this relegation trouble. If we give it to the assistant manager, it will be exactly the same, because that is not what's needed. This is just more of the Frank regime. This is more of, Frank's guys. It will change nothing. It's not a fresh voice. To get us out of the relegation battle, what is needed is a fresh voice and somebody. This is an interim who just has a bit of passion that can actually galvanize the team. Yeah, exactly. We cannot. It's not even to do with that. I know he had a bad time at Ajax as manager, but it's just more to do with the fact that he's one of Frank's guys, and it's just not a fresh. These players need something fresh to get them out of the relegation zone. And they need someone that's going to galvanize them. And somebody that can just get those 3 or 4 wins to just ensure that we don't get relegated. And that is where we're at. And it's very simple, and there's no two ways about it. But I am worried. What they're going to do is they're going to keep the assistant manager. They're going to put him in charge because it's the easy option to do, because they're such lazy recruiters. They're going to put him in charge. And worst of all, and this is if we don't get relegated. This is assuming we don't get relegated, right? Come the summer, as long as we're still a Premier League club, that is. Come the summer, what they're going to do is they're going to rehire Pochettino. And Every Spurs fan right now is losing their mind, saying, yeah, let's get Poch back. Poch, he's magic, you know. Poch, all of this. Poch. Are you out of your mind? And I know people might think I'm crazy for like saying this about Poch, considering what he did before. But even then, he won nothing. First of all, I'll just say that. He didn't win anything at Spurs. But also, let's talk about what Poch has done since leaving Spurs. PSG, no. Chelsea, no. USA, no. Although 10 thinks they're going to do all right at the World Cup, but obviously,
and that's why it will feed.
And that will raise his stock. And
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So anyone, I predict USA to make minimum quarterfinal. A very surprising and respectable finish for USA at the World Cup, and raise those stocks of Poch, and then your fan base will. Yes.
See, but this is the thing, right? Poch is washed. He is not a good. He is nowhere near as good as he used to be. And even when he was at his best, he still won nothing. Yes, I know that wasn't entirely his fault. He wasn't backed and all of this. But Poch, you know, had the team that he had and couldn't win a single trophy, not even a cup. He played Son at left back in a semi-final. Let's not forget these things. Let's also not forget that he didn't win an away game for a year. And this is Poch at his best. This was Poch when he was with us, you know, his best, as they say. Let's not, people have short memories. Let's not forget that all of these fans wanted Poch sacked towards the end. They all wanted him sacked. You know, let's not beat around the bush. I'll be honest. I didn't want him sacked at the end, at the time. I didn't want him to be sacked, but it's been and gone. He left Spurs. He's got worse since leaving. He went to Chelsea. A Tottenham fan's not forgetting this. Poch, who I don't think is a legend because he didn't win anything, but Poch, who is a legend in a lot of Spurs fans' eyes, their legend went to Chelsea, our rivals. Not only did he go to Chelsea, but he went to Chelsea and sat there in his first press conference and said, oh, Chelsea have been the best club for the last 15 years or whatever it was. And yet fans want this guy back. Fans want this traitor back. You know, he went to Chelsea. That should be enough is enough. That should be no, we're done with Poch. Just him going to Chelsea alone. He's gone to USA, and I know some people that are American and follow the USMNT. They have constantly been saying Poch is terrible. He is worse than Berhalter, who they all hated before. Poch can't even win the Nations Cup, whatever it is. And even Berhalter, who they say is terrible, even he won that. Poch can't even win that. Poch lost to what? Panama or whatever it is. You know, this guy's not the manager that Spurs fans think. And that's not even mentioning the whole thing about going back to your ex is never a good idea. It never ends well. It never ends well. It's as simple as that. And what's going to happen is we're going to bring Poch back, and unfortunately, fans are going to have to learn the hard way. They're going to have to learn the hard way that once Poch comes back, and when it goes wrong, they're going to sit there and then realize that Poch is not the guy and that the chapter is closed. That is when they will realize. But unfortunately, we're going to have to go through all of this suffering for that to happen. And then just maybe fans will finally start to protest and take action like they did for that one protest last season against Levy, which, surprise, surprise, actually forced change and got rid of Levy. So, I don't know what we're going to do. I do know what we're going to do. We're going to keep the assistant manager, which I think is the worst thing to do from now to the end of the season. And we're going to hire Poch when his contract ends with the USA in the summer. That is what we're going to do because the board are lazy. They don't have the insight. They don't have the knowledge of football. They don't have the ambition to actually go out there and get us the right manager and back him with what we need as a club. What they're going to do is they're going to do the lazy thing. They're going to get Poch back because it will appease the fans. It will shut the fans up about the ownership for a while. And then, you know, it's just going to go around in circles. Look, Spurs fans just need to wake up. I'm seeing everybody say that they want Poch back. I think they're out of their mind. I think they're out of their mind for wanting Poch back. It's crazy. I think I'm one of the only ones. When it comes to Poch, big up to Anthony as well. Yeah. Big up to the chat, of course. But I think when I say this, I'm in a minority, a very small minority that can see that Poch will not solve anything. And that he will come back and it will go the complete opposite way to what they all think. I'm sorry. I know I'm one of the only fans saying this. I know some others that are saying it as well, but I'm one of the only ones saying this. I realize this now, but unfortunately, most fans will have to learn the hard way. And that, I mean, look, if we get relegated, which I've been talking about, they will have to learn the hard way with that. So there you go. Frank's gone, which needed to happen. It did need to happen, sure. I'm glad it's happened because although it should have happened weeks ago, months ago, it should have happened. It needed to happen. It has happened. But let's just be real. This club is done until the ownership is gone and also the people in charge of deciding what to do with this club are fired. Until Lange is gone, until Vinay is gone, until the ownership are gone, until it is brand new. Yes, Levy was gone. That was one person. Until it is brand new, until it is fresh from owners at the top to sporting directors, to chairman, to until it is fresh, we will be stuck in this situation. And that is why fans should not stand for this and take action and actually sit there and say, this is not okay. And if this carries on, even if it's not this season, if this carries on right now, the pattern and the trend is showing is that we will get relegated. It is a disgusting situation. Absolutely disgusting. And, you know, am I glad Frank's gone? Yes, he had to go. But, you know, that's one person. Yes, he was a problem. Yes, Frank was a problem at the club. Yes, he deserved to be sacked. Yes, he had a cowardly approach. But I need to see, like I said, Frank's gone. I need to see the people that hired him gone as well. Because they will mess up the next managerial appointment. It's as simple as that. Anyway, rant over. 10, as a neutral, Frank is gone. What is your thoughts?
No, but maybe yay, because you know there's an endless amount of possibilities. There's a possibility that I don't want to see, like maybe a Xabi Alonso or anyone like a pretty good manager.
That's what I want, but it won't happen. That's what I want.
Or have the fun times, like maybe the guy that got sent off in the 2010 World Cup final, which was actually John Heitinga. He was the guy that got sent off. This
guy cannot be even as interim. This guy can't be interim. He can't be.
Yeah, I mean, look what he's done with Ajax.
It's not just that. It's just another Frank person. Like it's not a new voice. For us to avoid relegation, we need a new voice. That's how we're going to avoid relegation. That's it.
Yeah, and you know if there's any solace in having Heitinga as the manager, at least he's bold. I mean, what? Isn't Arteta bold?
I mean, God knows. It probably his hair might be a wig or something.
Maybe, and then imagine. But yeah,
that's fair. I mean, Eugene, I remember you said it. I 100% agree with you. I remember you said, I don't want Tottenham back. I want a new Tottenham. I'm with you. I've been saying that. I want a new Tottenham as well. 100%. I remember you said that, and I 100% agree.
And it kind of seems like the Europa League trophy win that day, you should have, what do you call this? Build upon it. Like, kind of like show you. Obviously, even Newcastle, we didn't do it with the summer. But, you know, for Spurs, you should have been like, look, we have a trophy right here. Europa League, we win in Europe, we are doing well and all that sort of stuff. But you never really capitalized on it in terms of bringing in a new manager, which was what the board wanted. And ultimately, you know, it's failed with Thomas Frank. And to be frank, as in like as a adjective, not as himself, but I do think a lot of the problems, as Anthony and a lot of others say, Enoch and Levy and all that sort of people. It's all a problem.
Enoch had the chance when Levy left. They had the chance to prove to us that they were making actual changes, but they've lost it. They've lost that chance.
maybe this is the change that Enoch wanted. You never know. But I do think that overall, with Thomas Frank, I think the right time to sack him was Aston, the 4-1.
Yes, that was another. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and then now Andrew's available. I wouldn't mind seeing him.
See, no, Andrew's the wrong. I mean, Andrew, he can galvanize a team, but like, listen, his tactics will get us relegated.
Yeah, but maybe
his tactics, he won't do what's needed to get results, which we need results right now.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true with this one. But I do think that overall, for a team like Spurs, like I do think Thomas Frank was, I wouldn't say a bad appointment.
Listen, I gave him a chance. I wasn't like a lot of these fans that hated him at the like from get go. I wanted to actually give him a chance because I felt like he earned like a step up from Brentford.
Yeah, and obviously didn't take the chance. Oh well, he did, but I mean, like, actually capitalize on it.
He failed. He did. Yeah. He failed. He shat the bed at a higher level.
Yeah. And now, he's going to be like Graham Harry Potter, managed Sweden or someone like that. Or maybe he'll manage Denmark once they fail to qualify for the World Cup. And go Republic of Ireland. Let's go. But I do think that Thomas Frank, his time with Spurs over the last 7-8 months, I'll say the only thing that made me say, oh, maybe he'll stay beyond, let's say this past game or beyond today was Champions League. Like in the Champions League, oh, Spurs finished 4th. But when you think about it, and there were people I remember that said, "Oh, Spurs can actually go like semifinal."
I said we'd make top 8.
I also said you make top 8, but that was given with the schedule and all that, and it benefited Spurs. And I feel like because of how well you finish in the Champions League, like 4th place isn't bad. It masked over a lot of the problems in the domestic form, you could say, because look, Spurs, 4th place, but we're not in the playoff or whatever.
And papered over the cracks.
I think once, because you don't play Champions League football until March against whoever it may be, but February, you have the month of February whereby you have no FA Cup, you have no Qarabağ Cup, you have no Champions League, at least for the month of February. And so far, you've picked up, I believe, this many points. 0.
1 point, Man City. Or 2 points, Burnley. Although Burnley was still in January, but Man City was 1
basically
point.
After your Champions League final game. So I think, the fact that not only that, you haven't won in the Premier League, and technically FA Cup, but Premier League, I think
2 wins in 17.
Only Burnley have not won in 2026, and they should have beaten you.
They should. They were a minute. They were a minute away from beating us or something.
Oh, So, and you said 2 wins in 17. Even I don't foresee Eddie Howe, who I'm also, Eddie Howe out. I would not foresee Eddie Howe to go 2 in 17. Even though, even he wouldn't do that. The only time he would was, when he first got the job, which, okay, fair enough. But not now. And obviously with Thomas Frank, I think, and the board with Spurs, I think it was just about the Champions League papered over the cracks. And that was coming from, the Europa League. So in a way, your European adventures are the only reasons why you've kept a manager like Ange for that long. And obviously it paid off. But you finished 17th. So that should have been at least maybe a warning sign.
That's why I said we should have got rid of Ange, which I still stand by. But again, it's who you hire next. And who they hired next was obviously wrong.
Yeah. And then obviously, considering you finished 17th, but you won a trophy. Okay. And then I would say the same thing happened. You finished, or I wouldn't say you played fantastic in the Champions League in the 8 games, but you finish in the top 8. 4th place isn't that bad in the Champions League standings, but just like last season with the Europa League win, eventually the Champions League papered over the cracks. And obviously, unless you go on to win it,
That's the difference. This year, we don't have a hope in hell of winning the Champions League.
Oh,
so
yeah.
there's nothing. And with that, we have to save ourselves from relegation. That's the priority. We have to save ourselves from relegation.
Yeah, and you're not even in either cup competition anymore and all sort of stuff. So the fact that you haven't won in 2026 is hilarious. Though I would say it would be the most hilarious thing ever if your first Premier League win of 2026 is in 10 days.
Oh, could you imagine? I'll tell you something though.
Would you?
I'm not saying we have much of a. I'm not saying we have much of a chance. But what I will say is this:
football is football.
We have more of. I'll tell you this: we have more of a chance of winning that game now than we did under Frank. I can tell you that.
Even if it's like Heitinga.
It's a maybe because we might get a new manager bounce. We might. Yeah. I'm not saying we will. We might. But under Frank, we knew what it was going to be. But now it's gone. So that I will say our chances have increased, not by a lot, but they have increased.
Like 1% or 2%.
Probably, yeah.
But it would be the most typical Spurs and typical Arsenal thing. Oh, like the situation between both clubs.
See, do you know what's really funny, right? Is Arsenal fans are gutted because they were getting giddy over being able to face Frank because of the whole cup thing and the whole Frank, him being like this Arsenal guy, they're all getting excited over it. Well, guess what? They won't be able to face him now. So they can.
Well, at least maybe they'll have like those padded seats for Thomas Frank.
Listen, even if they still win, they can't do what they were planning to do, which is basically like take the piss with the whole Frank thing. They can't do that. Now.
I saw. I'm not sure if it's true. There was a report saying that like in training or like talking to the players, like tactics or whatever, that Thomas Frank would regularly, I'm not sure if it's true, talk about Arsenal. Like, oh, look how good they are defensively.
Apparently it was more like before and after we played them, he kept going on about them, which kind of reinstated what I've been saying about him, which is that he only focuses on what the opposition do instead of like his style of play and everything. Yeah, I saw that. I mean, look, it's what I'll be honest, it's what the English media do. The English media will, feed off negativity, as you say. The English media will feed off like somebody getting sacked. The English media feed off it. That's the way the English media work. But at the same time, look, if it's true, I mean, I don't know if it is, but if it is true, then I have no words. I don't know what to say about
I mean, along with the cup that he was
I have no. If that's true, if that is true, I have no words. Genuinely, no words to say about that. Like, if I speak, I'm in big trouble.
Like, sure, that's like, let's say if that report is true or whatever, and then with the cup when you played Bournemouth and all, like, I'm like,
it just shows you that. Do you know what all this says? Whether that report is true or not, the fact that this is being taught, this just shows that he should have been gone a while ago. That's what it shows, that he should have been gone a while ago.
Yeah, and obviously now, you don't play a game for 10 days. The literal next game is Arsenal in the North London derby, which we'll preview next week because
next week, yes,
there's a lot of things that can happen with Spurs. Whether they
listen, we don't know who's going to be the manager.
And maybe we don't even know who's the manager will be next week as well. Because when you say the board at Spurs, maybe they won't make the decision next week, and they'll be like,
They'll wait, probably. Right.
And then, I'm not sure who Forest played tonight or
Wolves at home.
So let's just assume they win, most likely. They're level on points. The only thing saving you from not going below them is goal difference. So I think whether a decision somehow is made tonight with maybe a new interim or a manager or whatever, I think even if you get someone like a Xabi Alonso or anyone that I also rate, like Xabi Alonso, maybe you can also say Fabregas, even though I do think
Fabregas is an Arsenal and Chelsea guy, no. But I'll tell you something about Fabregas. What is crazy though is that if Fabregas wasn't this Arsenal Chelsea guy, I would actually really want him. That's the funny thing. It's only because he's Fabregas. That's literally it. Like if Fabregas,
if it's
no. This when I'm talking about interim, this Ryan Mason cannot happen. This he will take us down. He will take us down. This cannot happen. Cannot happen.
To be honest, when I think about it, I think actually it should be. It might be taking the piss. It should be Ange for interim.
Oh, come on.
Like okay, because what do you say? Galvanize the team because there's no fight.
Yeah, but he's not built for a relegation battle. Ange can do it when it gets to the semis, the final. For a relegation battle, you need something different. You need to be able to get results. Ange in the league cannot get results. You know, that was proven last season. But the thing with Fabregas, I rate him highly, although he does need to prove himself. But
that's why I still give him time.
But like I said, there is if Fabregas is an Arsenal Chelsea guy, there's no way. Like,
and also
he'd ever be Spurs manager. There's no way.
I mean, he did beat Conte in the Coppa Italia on penalties. Yes. So Conte only has one game a week, more or less now. But yeah, and to be honest, if I was the Spurs board, obviously go for the best ones. Obviously, like the best possible.
Well, that's what we need. We need a Xabi Alonso, but he's not going to join us. He'll have better options in the summer. He's not going to join us. And by the way, who in their right mind would join mid-season? Like, forget about look. Whoever joins in the summer, whoever's willing to join in the summer is a different conversation. But let's just be honest, right? Who in their right mind would join now? Who would want to walk into Spurs in a relegation battle? Of these kind of permanent managers, who in their right mind would join right now?
Yeah,
in this situation.
That's why I feel like definitely it will be interim. Don't get relegated. That's why I feel like
it will be.
The reason why I'm saying Ange, not for the memes, but what you said, you only need 3-4 games. I think you can win 3-4 games with him in charge, knowing that it depends obviously on the Champions League, who you get. I do think you get knocked out, no matter who the manager is. I do think you get knocked out by Juve or Atleti or Bruges or Galatasaray. I do think you get knocked out.
Listen, we can't afford to think about the Champions League. We have to think about our relegation. That's what we have to think about.
I think there's what you call it, like, I don't know what you call it, a fine line, or like not a 6-7. I'm just like making a gesture, but like surely, okay, last season it's fine doing the sacrifice the league for Europe, but like
we're not safe. We're not safe this time.
But now you can't really sacrifice. Well, I mean, you could still win Champions League, but as where's Eugene? But just as Eugene said, you know,
could you imagine?
Imagine you have, because the championship, also they're about to expand it to a 6 playoff team, so the top 8 now starting next season.
Oh, like Serie B, yeah.
So at least if Spurs are down there, finishing 8th in the playoffs of the championship, you know, you have a good chance, maybe, you know.
Listen, let's not talk about the championship now until that happens.
I have great memories. The 2 times we were down there, at least we won it both times. Hold that, Brighton. Hold that, and West Brom, because we beat them to the title in both times. Well, to be fair, West Brom are probably going to get relegated. But I think if I was the board, I would actually give it to Ange. If it somehow still doesn't work, then I literally have. Then it's really.
No, I wouldn't give it to Ange. I wouldn't.
Then it would be like Harry Redknapp or Big Sam.
No, this whole Redknapp's retired. I'm seeing a lot of Spurs fans mention him, but he's retired. Do you know who we need? Do you know who we need right now? And by the way, I wouldn't want this to happen because I don't want him to leave where he is. Spurs need Inzaghi right now. We need Inzaghi. But I don't want it to happen because I want him to stay. I want him to stay at my club in Palermo. I want him. So I would.
About his brother.
Yes, I would take him, but he's in Saudi. Like I don't think he's leaving.
And
yes,
also,
I would. Simone Inzaghi. Yes, I would 100% take as our next manager. But he's not going to leave Saudi. I don't think.
Well, you probably don't even know. Get Edward Iordanescu, the Romanian manager at the Euros. I believe he's at Legia Warsaw and got sacked. and
Jesus.
Warsaw are in the relegation zone. Big club in the relegation.
I mean,
zone.
what do you as kind of a neutral? What do you think will happen? Do you think we'll go down the Poch route that I'm predicting?
Yeah.
I can see it a mile off. I can see it a mile off.
Because if anyone just joined, here's what I think. Whoever the interim is, or it might be Heitinger or anyone, you survive, as in like not get relegated, but okay, let's say survive. World Cup happens. Pochettino and the USA actually do well at the World Cup, and I'm still sticking by it. Quarterfinal or semifinal, I would say minimum quarterfinal. If Poch and USA get knocked out in the quarterfinal, because most likely it would be USA versus Spain. Imagine Pochettino knocks out Spain at the World Cup on, I think, the 10th or 11th of July. That would put, oh my God, Poch has done it. Like beat Spain, a favorite to win the World Cup. And then finish like third or fourth place overall in the World Cup, not win the World Cup. Or get knocked out by Spain, but have it be like a respectable elimination in the quarterfinal. Practically what I'm saying is Poch's stock in the summer will go up and up and up and up. And then
but the problem is, Ten, is even without that happening, our fans are still like Poch. Even without that scenario happening that you're talking about, they still Poch could literally get grouped and they would still want him back. That's the problem.
Yeah, true. So I just feel like it's set up perfectly. And I'm pretty good with some predictions, more or less.
You're good with quite a lot.
So there's a bit of happiness for USA fans, but maybe not for you in the long run, I would say, because I do think Poch comes back after the World Cup, after a very respectable quarterfinal or maybe even semifinal finish with USA. He'll be like, I did my job and all that, and I love the fans here at Spurs. Comes back to Spurs. No Europe. I don't think he'll get any form of Europe. And then,
Listen, it's very simple. If Poch comes back, he will fail. It's very simple. And a lot of fans don't realize this, and unfortunately, they're going to learn the hard way when they have to suffer next season.
Yeah. So that's why I think I'm not sure in terms of like who the board actually get from now till end of the season, but in the summer, he's back, baby.
Like I said, I know exactly what they're going to put Heitinger in charge, and then hire Poch in the summer. That's what's going to happen.
As I said, he is bald, so you never know. I also saw like Maresca, maybe.
Maresca, I would take Maresca,
even though he's former Chelsea and former.
I would take him. I would take Maresca.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, Anthony, 100% agree. I think the whole Poch thing is stupid. I think our fans have lost their mind, and like I said, I'm in a big minority when it comes to this. I'm one of the rare. My opinion about Poch in this fan base is very rare. I'm one of the only, me and a couple of others that I've spoken to, are one of the some of the only people you'll find in the Spurs fan base that actually knows what is going on with Poch and can actually understand what will happen if he does come back.
We'll find out. I mean, that's all I gotta say in terms of Frank.
Yeah, it's a mess. I mean, look, listen, he had to go, but it's a mess. It's a complete mess.
Yeah. And unless you still want to talk about it, I guess can move on because it's a long. We practically talked about Thomas Frank for about 50 minutes.
Of course. I mean, it's the big news, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess can move on from Frank, and we'll find out who the manager will be. But yeah. So in terms of the fixtures for the upcoming week or so. Tottenham don't play at all, so we're literally just talking about Newcastle for the first time in nearly about 45 minutes.
No Tottenham games to preview. So who have Newcastle got? I know you got who you got? I can't remember. I know you got Qarabağ in the Champions League, but who have you got? Who else you got?
FA Cup, which honestly could have actually been you. It could have been you.
It just shows you how the draws screw us over. If we had somehow beaten Villa, we would have got Newcastle.
Yeah, and we'll probably just beat you again. even with an interim now. But yeah, the game is Aston Villa taking on Newcastle in the FA Cup, and obviously we have played them twice already. We finished the home and away Premier League games, but in those 2 games we drew 0-0 at their ground. And
you should have won that game.
Why did you never do watch? For Newcastle,
the timing just I don't know who I'm guessing you're talking to, like both of us, but like in terms of me, like the timing just never really works out really. For
me, I would prefer to. I will definitely. I have to schedule it at some point. I will do the Qarabağ games, both of them. But the Premier League games, not really.
If I'm honest, I don't do Spurs watch-alongs usually because I just get annoyed. So it's like, you know what I mean. I'm just being honest. I get annoyed, so I just don't. I don't want to do a watch-along when I'm like annoyed. So,
but yeah. So Aston Villa versus Newcastle. It's on Saturday, which gives us a little over 3.5, 4 days, or even less. I don't know in terms of travel, because we have to go from Birmingham. I don't know how it's pronounced there. Birmingham, all the way to Baku, which is like a very
to Baku.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we can win in Baku, unlike Arsenal. You never know.
Yeah, that's right. Is it the same stadium?
No.
Oh.
I don't think so. I'm not sure actually. But regardless, what do you call this? This Aston Villa game, we'll do first. Obviously, we've played them twice already, home and away. First game of the season was 0-0, which probably we should have won. But then the game last month, about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, we lose. Was it 2-0 at home? And that was their first win at our stadium in like 20 years or whatever it was. So yeah, not great.
Anthony, I don't know exactly who, but it needs to be somebody that has a bit of passion and can actually galvanize the team to get them out of the relegation zone. That's who it needs to be. But I don't know who that is.
Big Ange. But I think for Aston Villa Newcastle FA Cup, I'll be honest. Obviously, I want us to progress in the cup, but would I take elimination in this? Obviously not, but I still want to see what.
Still in a trophy. It's probably your last chance to win a trophy this season.
What do you mean?
So.
We're going to Budapest in May. and I keep on mentioning it like every now and then. 1969, where was that second leg played at? It was in Budapest. Was the final this year? Budapest. But regardless, I think this game against Aston Villa, look, I'll be honest, Aston Villa should be favorites against us on Saturday. 1, you're at home. 2, obviously you beat us the other day, like 2.5, 3 weeks ago. And obviously you don't have to worry about playing in midweek because you're in the top 8 of the Europa League, so you don't have to play Europe until March. So I think, and also I feel like maybe Aston Villa, you guys do need a trophy. If you can't win the Europa, the FA Cup is your best chance for Aston Villa, because at least with Newcastle, at least for me, you know, we have a trophy that, you know, we can look back on, you know, whereas Aston Villa, they haven't won a trophy in 30 years. Maybe it will change by the end of the season, but the FA Cup and the Europa League are your 2 best opportunities. So if you don't win one, I think Aston Villa have to win the other, because I feel like Unai Emery, he does need, 30 years. So I'm not talking as if I'm previewing as an Aston Villa fan, but what is it? It's been 4 years, more or less, something like that, that Unai Emery has been in charge of Aston Villa. You've had a few opportunities to win trophies at Aston Villa. The FA Cup last season, lost to Palace. The Conference League, when you got knocked out by Olympiacos in the semi-final, those were 2 competitions you should have won. Oh yeah, definitely. But whichever one, obviously you guys will be happy for Villa fans. So I think Aston Villa.
Dantrum, I'll be honest. I know I like Dantrum and everything, but I don't think Villa will win the Europa. I've said that a few times. I mean, maybe I think you have a good chance, but My prediction is that I think I said Villa wouldn't win it personally.
And if Aston Villa do draw Celta Vigo, I could maybe I won't go to the game. I'll be honest, but maybe
Go Viva Celta. Viva
no,
Celta.
no, then Aston Villa, come on. But for this one, yeah.
This is what although Roma, they're quite inconsistent at the moment, but I still think Gasperini might do it.
In terms of Unai Emery and Aston Villa, it's been about 3.5, 4 years now. I'll say 4 years, I think. That you've had Unai Emery and you have been consistently qualifying for Europe. And I think you will get Europe. Whichever one it is, we'll find out by the end of the year. But I think for Aston Villa, it's all well and good qualifying for Europe for 4 consecutive seasons. Something we haven't done. We haven't even done back-to-back Europe since the 2000s. But to go 4 in a row of being in Europe is very good for Aston Villa. But the one thing I feel like is missing for Aston Villa is a trophy, which is something at least we, Newcastle, can say, oh, and even Spurs have a trophy, whereby at least there's a time whereby we have won something. Whereas Aston Villa, for all the work they've done over the past 3-4 years with Unai Emery, I think you have to take this FA Cup seriously against us. Because, if for the sake of Aston Villa, we'll sack off the FA Cup. Maybe Newcastle, they'll whatever, get knocked out next round, which I think we might. But the Europa League and all that sort of thing, whether it's a guarantee you win it, who knows? But I do think for this game, Aston Villa are the favourites for this FA Cup game.
Obviously, your away record as well. Obviously, apart from us, but like your away record isn't good.
Technically, the Newcastle United Stadium last night was quite nice. I'll be honest, with all the Newcastle United Stadium plans, expansion or new stadium, can we we have our new stadium. It's called.
You have a good record. Look, what can I say? You have a good record at our ground. So
yeah, that's why I always tell people of all the quote unquote big six or whatever you want to say, the only away big six club I'm confident in winning away from our ground is Tottenham.
Well, listen, even before the take, you beat us under Steve Bruce.
5-1, or even actually we did the double in that 5-1, the Leicester City season and all that. And
that was White Hart Lane, so different stage.
But even still, we beat you a few times. I'm like,
yeah,
any of the sort of big six, you could say, clubs to go away. Which one I'm always confident we can get a result.
Although I remember you did lose 5-1 that year.
But
I remember that.
You know what? Since then, you haven't beat. No.
We beat you 4-1 2 years. Yeah, 5-1 and 4-1.
Yeah. But now, since that 4-1, we've won or have not lost. So I think that's pretty good. That's why I always tell any other Newcastle fans, even Steve, I said if there's any if there's any away game against the Big Six that I'm always confident in winning, is at Spurs. But
what's interesting for this game is I know you drew this year, but you actually have quite a good record at Villa Park, I think. I think your record I don't think it's too bad, am I right in saying?
I mean, every now and then we do get smashed. Last season,
you'll get smashed, but then I do remember you winning a few games there recently.
I mean, I remember when we were having our bad time 2 years ago at Aston Villa, we took a 3-0 lead. Fabian shared a couple of goals from corners or something, or whatever. So we can win. And that was when no Newcastle fan expected us to win. I remember that. I even have a video. Let me find it, because I do have a video of that when I was watching that Aston Villa game 2 years ago. Where is it? I can find it. It's on my phone. Where is it? Let me wait. Give me 1 second. I'm finding it somewhere. Where is it? Where's video? Give me 1 second. I'm trying to find that famous, for me at least, video. Was it this one? Yeah.
Oh God.
Okay. Okay.
We're
There.
somehow winning. I thought we would lose like 4-0. Oh, fucking hell.
Ah. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Porto. Oh my god.
Also, like maybe a month or so.
Oh
before.
yeah.
Oh god.
My word.
So at least some good memory of beating Villa when we least expected. I did not expect.
I guess this time, look, you're not really expecting it this time, so
Yeah,
you never
and
know.
Villa have already beaten us, so we'll see. I mean, in terms of a prediction or in terms of the team for us, I don't know because
I
obviously
think you
Villa-
got to play. You got it's the FA Cup. I mean, although what is bad is that Bruno is got an injury now, hamstring against.
Oh
us.
yeah.
So
Oh, is
Bruno
that?
could be out for a while, which is obviously a problem for you guys.
Yeah. So I feel like that might change sort of things, but obviously Wester didn't play against Spurs, so maybe he might start. But yeah, in terms of prediction, obviously Villa play in under an hour from now against Brighton, so we'll see how Villa do. But in terms of a prediction, maybe we'll score one, but I think Aston Villa win 3-1. That'll be my prediction. So Aston Villa knock us out.
Yeah, I think you're getting knocked out. I think Villa obviously are generally very good at home. Obviously they've beaten you guys already this season. This look in the FA Cup fourth round. This is like probably one of the worst possible draws. I mean, you could have got like the likes of Macclesfield or Wigan. You know, this is like it's a shame because we had obviously the same problem against Villa in the third round. So
would you say this game, Newcastle Villa, tie of the round?
Probably. I mean, it just shows you if we had beaten Villa, we would have played Newcastle, which would have been again the tie of the round that involves Spurs because they seem to love giving us the hardest FA Cup draws. But yeah, look, it's not a good draw away, especially away. Like if you're at home, I think I might actually predict you to win if you're at home. But
well, to be fair, we just lost to them.
Yeah, but I think you might get revenge at home. But yeah, I think you get knocked out. Maybe, I don't know, but it's just I don't trust your away record. I just really don't. So I'm gonna say I think Villa are obviously looking stronger than Newcastle right now. So I'm saying that's true. Yeah, Villa, Brentford, and Everton. That's true. But I think I feel like they bounce back. I'm gonna say 2-0 to Villa. Same as 2-0 Villa. 2-0 Villa. I think, which is a shame because I think, like I said, this is probably your last realistic chance of winning a trophy. So,
yeah.
But I do, yeah. This is obviously a tough draw. I think Villa will have a bit more. I think than Newcastle. So, yeah, 2-0 Villa. All right. Unfortunately for you, I think you're getting knocked out this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, if we do get knocked out, that means we don't play the weekend of after the Man United midweek game in the Premier League. But in terms of another game, which Spurs are not also involved in, but they will be involved.
Because we're in there. We already qualified for the last 16. So,
but I'll be honest, I think you get knocked out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Qarabağ of the second place, not even first, second place in the Azerbaijani Premier League. But they are technically Premier League champions, Azerbaijani Premier League champions.
Yeah.
But we go away. Not really at their stadium, but in their area, whatever. With, I would say, I'll be honest. Do I think this is a tough game? Of course.
We did say this in the playoff for the Champions League playoffs. This is probably the easiest draw that Newcastle could have.
Oh yeah, I mean the other team was Monaco, which I also think was also pretty easy. Yeah, it's next week, the Champions League.
Baron, you got to play Benfica again. I mean, we saw what happened last time, so that could be quite interesting.
Yeah, but I think for this game, for us, up against Qarabağ away, even if I don't watch them in the Azerbaijani Premier League, but in terms of Champions League, they've performed well. But even when they performed well, they lost like 4-2. Against Ajax, lost 6-0 to Liverpool as well. So I do think that overall, and he's saying 100% losing to Benfica. Maybe. But I do think that against Qarabağ, maybe there will be a lot of rotation in the Villa game, which I think, I'll be honest, if there's between the two, which one I would prioritize, I would say Qarabağ. Just because I want more Champions League nights. I want us to have the potential opportunity of playing Barcelona again in the Champions League. Imagine if, okay, maybe I won't think that far ahead. Maybe next stream I might. But in terms of how I feel, obviously it will depend on what happens after Saturday, whether we are knocked out or not. We'll see. But I do think that we have to take this opportunity, try to reach the last 16. I think if we get knocked out over 2 legs by Qarabağ, there'll be probably a little bit more people saying Eddie Howe out. Maybe, I don't know. But
who do I want top 3 to take over? Is this who I would want or who I think we would look at?
Yes, you want.
Who I would want in terms, so top 3, obviously number 1 Xabi Alonso, number 2 probably. Number 2. Who's going to be there? Probably if I'm doing a top 3, Xabi Alonso number 1. Number 2 probably Glasner, because I know a lot of Spurs fans don't want Glasner, but I do rate Glasner. Or number 2, yeah, or probably Maresca. I'd say Maresca number 2, and then Glasner number 3. I would say.
But yeah, in terms of Qarabağ, Newcastle, I mean, obviously it'll be a long travel for us. But look, it's nice that Qarabağ have made it this far. I'm not going to disrespect them, but I will be completely honest. I think we should.
They just lost 6-0 to Liverpool in the last game.
Yeah. And if you want to say, oh, but their home form was good, they lost to Ajax at home. That was Ajax's first win of the Champions League when they played them back in December. Yeah, maybe it's a different team because it was back in December, but you can't lose 4-2 against Ajax. Not in terms of like that sort of time when Ajax were really bad, and I think Aitinga was actually the manager. But yeah, I do think we win. I know people like maybe Strasbourg Steve or maybe other.
Yeah, I think Steve's kind of worried. I can't lie.
I'm like, okay, look.
Listen, it's Qarabağ, man. Like, with all due respect, I mean,
like,
we beat them last year.
How did Spurs do against Qarabağ?
We were down to 10 men from like the first 10 minutes, and we still won 3-0.
Was that because Dragusin
got sent off,
and it ended 3-0 for you.
3-0.
So,
yeah.
And you had your. I don't know if you had your injury crisis at that time.
No, that was early. That was early in the season.
But still, I mean, come on. If we can't beat Qarabağ, look, I think we'll beat them over 2 legs.
I think with your we said this. Qarabağ, with all due respect, is like the easiest draw Newcastle could have got in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I think you'll definitely beat them over 2 legs. I think for Tuesday, it's Tuesday or Wednesday. Wednesday. I think at worst you get a draw. At worst, I think.
Yeah.
And then but I think you win. I think you win like 3-0. I reckon. I think physically you'll just overpower them. I reckon.
And I'll be honest. Look how we always do in the Champions League nights.
Yeah, you'll turn up. I think you'll turn up as well.
Yeah, maybe the only one. Like we were away at Leverkusen, should have won, but the level of Leverkusen and Qarabağ is a little bit, a bit different. We were away at Marseille, hold that, and deserve to be sacked because of all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But we were ahead against Marseille. We were ahead against Leverkusen. We beat Union Saint-Gilloise in technically not even their stadium. We beat them 4-0. That was our first away win in any competition this season.
Just kind of off topic, there's been a report coming out from The Athletic. It says, this is on Frank. It says, for all the talk of cultural change and building a new environment, Frank never made much of an impression on the players and leaves Spurs as the most unpopular head coach they have had in modern times. Jesus. Yeah. It's another update on the Frank sacking.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, what else was I going to say? But I do think that overall, I'll be honest, I'll be honest, I would be really surprised. Obviously, of course, for Qarabağ, this is a big game for them as well because this is their first knockout stage game in Champions League history. But here's a fun stat. This is also Newcastle United's first knockout stage game in the Champions League, if you don't count the playoffs, as in playoffs of like qualifiers, as in knockout stage football. And
That's mad.
you know, and look, when we had over 2 legs, like first and second leg, apart from Man City, in just very recently, over 2 legs, we have beaten Southampton, we have beaten Arsenal in cup competition over 2 legs. Yes, okay, Man City, okay, different level. Do you think Qarabağ are that level of Man City? No.
No.
Even though, yes, they are technically Premier League champions of Azerbaijan, but they're
Listen,
not even...
listen. You'll beat Qarabağ. You don't need to overthink this. I'm telling you, I'm very confident.
Over
in
2 legs,
Newcastle.
yeah.
Over
Maybe,
2. Look, mate. Like I said, at worst, you'll draw.
But also, when I say this, we always turn up. Look, we were away at PSG, and we nearly won. We nearly won that game away at PSG, and
exactly.
You know, people saying, "Oh, but look at Newcastle's away form." We've done okay. We've done okay in the away games in the Champions League. Leverkusen, we should have won. Marseille, well, it's Nick Pope's fault, but Qarabağ, I think, are among. I think they're similar level, maybe a bit better than Union Saint-Gilloise in terms of the away teams we had in the Champions League. And we always, for some reason, always turn up in the Champions League night. We, always, even if we end up not winning, we actually turn up. And look, because if you remember, there were people, I remember, even Strasbourg Steve said, and when I say that, I'm not making any dig at him, because he is also going to that second leg game against Qarabağ when he goes to Newcastle. But he said we would lose to PSV Eindhoven.
I remember Steve said you'd lose to Union Saint USG, basically. Steve does know his stuff. He watches a lot of football, so
yeah,
they definitely knows his stuff.
This is not a dig at Steve.
Yeah, no, big up to Steve. I hope you watch it. Big up.
It's just nice banter that I like to have with him.
Banter.
And just sometimes to make him upset. But I will be really shocked. Like, okay, I wouldn't be shocked if we lose to Villa on Saturday, but I would be really shocked if we don't turn up against Qarabağ. So I do think we win. What's the scoreline? I'll be a little bit conservative. I'll say, okay, I'll give them a goal. 3-1 for us. I'll give them a goal. Just for their fans' sake. So I'll give them a goal, but I think we win 3-1. And it's mainly because we somehow always turn up on Champions League nights. And I'll be honest, Qarabağ or somewhat, maybe a little bit better than Union Saint-Gilloise, but they're not, knock on wood, not good enough to beat us over 2 legs. And obviously
over 2 legs, you'll win. Yeah,
especially the home game, knowing where obviously it'll depend in 2 weeks. So yeah, and you know, Eddie Howe, technically, if he does beat Qarabağ over 2 legs, he would be the first ever Newcastle United manager to win a knockout stage 2-legged tie. Ever. So exactly. Look, for Eddie Howe, this is history. You know, this is like the almost golden, this is like what I said before the Spurs Frankfurt game. This is a tap-in. This is a Erling Haaland. Yeah,
this is a tap. This is a
Haaland tap-in, as in like progress to the round of 16. And then once you get to the round 16, you play either Chelsea, Barcelona. Okay, then fair enough. It'll be tough, and we could get knocked out. And also with the only English side apart from maybe Crystal Palace, I think, that are playing in February in Europe. So no, Nottingham Forest. I did that wrong, but I think we should be making the last 16. And to be honest, if people like it, English fans support Newcastle because we help build the coefficient points.
Yeah.
For me, I don't want English apart from Newcastle doing well. Like I want Aston Villa to lose.
Yeah, that's the same with me. Unless it's Spurs, I want every English team to get knocked out.
Yeah, yeah. Even that's why I say Spurs get knocked out by one of the 4 opponents they have. But yeah, I do think we win 3-1, and you said 3-0.
3-0, yeah.
But basically a win. As I said, I would be genuinely surprised if we do not turn up for this game. If we don't turn up against Aston Villa, okay, fair enough. Okay, I'll take it. But if we don't turn up away at Qarabağ, even if it ends as a draw or we lose, just turn up for that game. So, and if we do turn up, I think we win. So, and I actually think here's one. I think the front 3 against Spurs last night will be the front 3 away at Qarabağ. I think.
Yeah.
Hey,
because Eddie Howe doesn't seem to like to start a striker in the Champions League, or just
to be fair,
just in general right now.
Yeah.
So.
But to be fair, Gordon and what do you call this? Bonds. Look, Champions League, they somehow turn into like Cristiano and Lionel Messi.
Ooh.
And tampoco loco. But yeah, I do think the front 3 of last night for us will be the front 3 against Qarabağ away. That's what I think will be the line.
No, we'll see. Yeah,
Whereas,
well, I do think you'll win. I do think so.
Whereas the Aston Villa game, I do think we start either Whistle or Voltemada and drop one of them to the bench or something. So
I mean, it's how roulette, isn't it?
But also at the same time, we do have to manage the team because Lewis Hall didn't play apart from like 5 minutes against Spurs. But I do think, actually, when I think about which game should Lewis Hall play, I would give him 30, 45 minutes against Aston Villa and start him against Qarabağ, Lewis Hall.
I think you need Lewis Hall. I think he's a good player. He is a good player. I like him. Yeah.
If we get rinsed by, I think
you have to start. I think Lewis Hall, you definitely have to start him against Villa. Against Villa, you definitely have to start him.
Yeah, of course. But I would start him in the Qarabağ game. But whatever, we'll see what Eddie Howe does. Hopefully hopefully the game last night gives confidence for the rest of the team. Hey, we won an away ground, a tough team historically. So
yeah.
But I'll be honest, it was a home game for us.
Pretty much. I mean, our home games are home games for everyone. If you look at our home record this season.
Oh yeah, 2 wins in.
Just a stat as well. You know, Frank as Tottenham manager got less home wins than Nuno, and Nuno was there for 10 games. Frank has had less home wins than
which
Nuno.
teams did you beat at home in the Premier League? Burnley and
Man City first game. Watford. He beat Man City, Watford, and Villa. Yeah.
And then Frank, Burnley at home and
Burnley and Brentford. That's it. Burnley and Brentford.
Wow. So he beat his old team, and you always beat Burnley at home.
Yeah,
so,
we always beat them. Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'll be honest, deserve sacking. But yeah, I guess unless there's anything else, that basically wraps up the show. A really good preview on Tottenham's games, if there was any. I mean, had you not beaten Frankfurt, you would have actually had a game.
Thankfully, we did, because more games right now would be horrendous.
Oh, you would be cooked, especially with what happened with Odegaard.
With the injuries, yeah. If we played champion, I think we'd lose, to be honest. If we played the playoff, to be honest.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. I think.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a eventful show. Literally, almost half of it was on Tommy.
He's gone.
Yeah. And to be frank, as an adjective, not him, as an adjective, to be frank, I think he deserved it.
Yeah, he did. He did. Not the biggest problem at the club, but he definitely deserved to get sacked.
Yeah, and yeah, it was a good show. Obviously, a lot of people in the chat as well. And the reason why we did this today instead of what we usually do on Thursdays is because we want to form and engage the algorithm and all that. This is a good day to talk about Frank and all. And for my thumbnail, I had Gordon Ramsay because I forgot to mention Gordon assisted Ramsey.
Yeah.
I think that's the first time that's actually happened.
Of course, it's against Spurs. Gordon Ramsay goal combination.
And you know what would be even better? If on Saturday, if that happens again, because Ramsey against his old team. But we'll find out. But yeah, I guess that's practically it. Anything to shout out?
Yeah, nothing too much to add. I mean, we'll be back probably next week for La Pina Rosa, and then I'll probably put a video out tomorrow or something because there'll probably be more news. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But yeah, big up to everyone watching. Definitely an interesting show, obviously with the news about Frank. But yeah, big up everyone in the chat. Make sure you're subscribed to both channels. Of course, this is streamed on both. Yeah, like the stream as well if you haven't already. And yeah, we'll see. Next show should be quite interesting. I think we'll probably have a lot of new things happen before then. So
yeah,
or not. Yeah.
But
with the way this board operate,
yeah. And for me, obviously doing my La Liga show as usual on Friday, previewing and reviewing in a way the games of the weekend. And Rayo Vallecano, I mean, they're in a lot of not deep shit in terms of like some stuff, but they might have another game get postponed because of the pitch.
Oh yeah, I've heard. Yeah, Vallecas. Yeah.
And you've been there, and
I have been there.
And if you remember,
it's a pretty rundown stadium. Yeah, it's like it's pretty.
And then the fans did protest. Oh, what a surprise! Even Rayo Vallecano fans can protest.
They got standards. They got standards, man.
And if they win the Conference League, that'll be great. But we'll see when that time comes. But yeah, there is a 30-second outro, which is literally just the same thing as the intro, just for the fun of it. But that's the outro. So yeah, right. We'll see you guys in the next one. And at least for both of us, we have at least cut our hair.
I only ask one eensy-beensy little favor.
What's that?
Come on, baby, don't say maybe! Please go out on a date with me and make me a happy Pokemon! Where am I?
You see...
That Thomas Frank has been sacked.